Hello, my dear students. Welcome to the class of 12th English Medium. The subject is Statistics, Part 2, Chapter 1, Probability, brought to you by Vitan Sir. Till now, whatever sums we have done from starting exercise 1.2 up to exercise 1.4, whatever sums we have done, every sum was based on the first definition of the probability, that is the mathematical definition. But we should remember that the mathematical definition of probability actually depends on the condition that the sample space is finite and all the outcomes of the probability are equiprobable. That means sample space has a limit and all the outcomes has equal chances of happening. But we can't always say that all the events can be equiprobable and all the sample spaces are finite, because events could be such they don't have equal chances of happening, and then sample spaces could be the which has unlimited outcomes. So in case that we have another definition of probability which studies events with varying chances and for infinite sample spaces. So this second definition of probability is what we are going to study in this tutorial. And that definition is the statistical definition of probability, otherwise known as the empirical definition. This will be the last topic of your chapter. Now let us study what is this statistical definition of probability. Let's suppose that a random experiment is there which is repeated n number of times under the identical conditions. That means the conditions of the repetition are same. If there is an event which occurs in this n number of outcomes for m trials out of the total trials, then the relative frequency m upon n of the event A gives the estimate of probability of event A, that is PA. Now when the larger and larger value of n is taken, that means n is increased where n tends to infinity, the limiting value of m upon n is called the probability of event A. So technically we are applying the concept of the limit here, that when n tends to infinity, then which is the value which we get using that ratio is called the probability of event A. That means we are increasing n up to a larger and larger and larger and larger value, and we are determining what ratio we get by increasing that value, and that estimate of the value of m upon n is called the probability of event A. In notations we can write it as PA is equal to limit n tends to infinity m upon n. But practically we don't actually calculate limit n tends to infinity, we just find the ratio of m and n and take it as actual probability. So that's the practical sum. So statistical definition of probability does not give us any particularly new concept. It just tells us that rather than taking a finite sample space, we are going towards an infinite sample space. But then again, because the sample space is infinite, we actually cannot calculate the probability, so we are just estimating the probability using the infinite sample space. Before I start with actual sums, let us see the limitations of the statistical definition of the probability. The first limitation is that the value of probability by statistical definition can only be obtained if the value of n tends to infinity. That means the sample space is infinity. That means if n does not tend to infinity, this definition cannot be used. Okay, so that's the first limitation. The second limitation, that the probability obtained by this method is an estimate of the original probability, and that means the actual value of probability cannot be obtained using this method, because this method tells us that n tends to infinity, so that virtually it is impossible to calculate the ratio of m and n, because n is infinity, so naturally your answer will be directly 0. But it's not the case, okay, because limit itself shows that when the answer of certain value is 0, we can use the limit method to calculate its actual estimated answer. So what we are doing, because m upon n is infinity, so its answer is 0, we are estimating its answer using the concept of limit. So This is just an estimate and not an actual answer, which in itself is not that great. But anyways, let us start with the sums here. And directly I'm going with the exercise 1.5, and luckily we only have 2 questions in this exercise. That means with this exercise, the completion of this exercise, this chapter's tutorials will be over. The final exercise of this chapter you have to practice on your own based on all of the previous tutorials, the 17 tutorials of this chapter. In case you have any doubts in particular sums, you can always contact me. I have tried to cover each and every type of sums in my tutorials. This is the last exercise with only 2 sums. Starting with question number 1. The sample data of monthly traveling expenses in rupees of a large group of travelers of a local bus in a mega city is given below. Now the table is this: monthly travel expenses are in the classes and the number of travelers are given. So basically this is a frequency distribution where the monthly travel expense are the classes and their frequencies are the number of travelers. I have given an additional column here which depicts the total number of travelers, that is 2142. So 2142 will be our total outcomes. One person from these travelers is selected at random. We have to find the probability that the monthly traveling expenses of this person will be, question number 1, more than rupees 900. Okay, now the total number of travelers are 2142. How many travelers are there which has the expenses more than 900? So if you check out the monthly travel expenses, you will see that more than 900 means 901 or more. That would be 174. Okay, I hope you guys got this. That would be 174 travelers with the travel expenses more than 900. So total 2142 travelers, out of which 174 travelers are according to our event. So the answer, how we are going to write it down, is the travelers with expenses more than 900 are 174. So the probability of event will be m upon n, that is 174 upon 2142. Simplifying it will be 29 upon 357. So that means this is one of the most basic methods of calculating probability. This statistical definition always consists of something similar type of probabilities. Always they will provide us with the table, the data, the frequency distribution. You have to get the total of the frequencies as the total number of outcomes. And then according to the questions, you have to find the favorable number of outcomes, and then m upon n will give you your probabilities. Let's check second question. At the most rupees 700. Okay, now from the table you can see that at the most 700, that means 700 or less, that is 5012 600 and 6012 700, that is 318 plus 432. Total number of travelers with the expenses at the most 700 are 750. So when I put this into my probability, 750 upon 2142 will be 125 upon 357. Moving on to the third question here, rupees 601 or more, but 900 was less. That means we have to check out the travelers which has the expenses of 601 or more, but 900 or less. That means between 601 and 900. So the travelers with the expenses between 601 and 900 are 432 plus 639 plus 579, that is 1650. So when I put it into my probability here, 1650 upon 2142 will be 275 upon 357. So this is how you calculate the probability using a statistical definition. You will be given a table, use those table for the total outcomes and the favorable outcomes, and just divide them. You will get your answer. Simple as that. Just like our exercise 1.2, but even easier than that exercise. Okay, second question. The details of sample inquiry of 4979 voters of a constituency are as follows. Okay, the table is given as this: details of males and females, party A, party B. So the males and females who support party A and the males and females who support party B are given. That means the table is here. You can find vertical and horizontal totals if you want. It's not compulsory, but it makes our question answering method easier. One voter is randomly selected from these. Find the probability that. Now before that, the total voters are 4979, which is already given in the question itself. So the total number of outcomes will be 4979. Now depending on the question, we will calculate the favorable number of outcomes. Starting with the first question, if the voter is male, he supports party A. Now, if word is used, when if is used, it basically means that this is a conditional probability. The second question, if the voter is supports party A, he is a male. If word is used, that means again this is a conditional probability. Now, we are supposed to calculate the conditional probabilities for the given question. If you see here, the voter is male, supports party A. If he supports party A, he is a male. Basically only two events are there, the part of this question. Let's break them down according to our understanding. Let us start by naming the events. I will name party A as event A, naturally party B as event B. You can also name it as B dash if you want, or sorry, A dash. Party A will be A and B will be A dash if you want, but I am just naming them individually. There is no rule stating we have to name them as complementary events. Male voters I am naming them M, and female voters I am naming them F. Now, according to the question, we can see that there are only two events the part of this question, because it is a conditional probability, and they involve event A, M and their intersection. Why intersection? Because we have to calculate conditional probability, and the formula of conditional probability includes the intersection of events. In case you have forgotten, you can just check out the top right corner of the screen to check out the video of the probabilities and the law of multiplication. Okay. Now the total male voters, you can see the total male voters means whether they are supporting party A or party B does not matter. We just have to make a total of the males, the whole vertical column. They are 2536. So first of all, let me calculate the probability of event M. But before that, total party A supporters are 2437. That means doesn't matter whether they are male or females. The total number of party A supporters, the row total of the party A is 2437. Now male voters, total number are 4979 and male voters are 2536. So this will be the probability of selecting a male voter. Similarly, selecting a party A supporter will be 2437 upon 4979. Next, I need to calculate the intersection of events, that is male voters and party A supporters. So where male voter column and party A supporter row intersect with each other, the number of people are 1319 from the table. If you are confused, just move back a bit in the video and you will see the table there, where party A and male voters, that means male voters who support party A are 1319. So the probability here will be 1319 upon 4979. That means out of 4979 voters, 1319 are the male voters who support party A. So we will call that the intersection of events A intersection M. Now we can start with the first question here, that if the voter is male, he supports party A. Now if the voter is male, that means the condition here is the male voter, that is M, and we are supposed to calculate the event of happening of event A. So I am going to write down probability of A given M, because male is given and A we are supposed to calculate. The formula is A intersection M divided by probability of M. So just write down the values here. A intersection M is 1319 upon 4979. Similarly, M is 2536 upon 4979. Just cancel out the 4979s of the numerator and denominator. You will be left with 1319 upon 2536. As there is nothing common between these values, I am just going to leave it as it is. The second question, that if the voter supports party A, he is a male. Here the conditions are reversed. The condition is that he supports party A, and what we are supposed to calculate is that he is a male. So probability will be M given A. So A intersection M divided by A. Whatever is given is to be taken in the denominator. So 1319 upon 4979 divided by 2437 upon 4979. So your answer will be 1319 upon 2437. So this is how you calculate the conditional probability or even a regular probability using the given tables. This is quite easy. You just have to pay attention to the headings given in the table and the values underneath them to calculate the probabilities here. No, even if it's a law of multiplication or law of addition, anything is there, It's very simple. You just have to make total or divide or just put the values in the equation here. Nothing complicated, a very simple concept. So that basically means that this is the end of the tutorials for the first chapter of the second part, that is probability. Next time we will meet again with the second chapter of the second part, that is the random variable and the discrete probability distributions. At that point of time I will explain in detail what that is. But thank you very much for watching all the tutorials of probability. If you have not watched them, just start from the very first tutorial which I have just given on at the top right corner of your screen, and you will get the whole chapter into a package of 17 tutorials. If you want to watch my other videos, you can start with the first part chapters or the second part chapters, which are the part of the playlist which I will show at the end of this video. Once again, thank you very much for watching the probability, and I will catch you in the next video. Welcome students to Vitansar's Unacount Academy. That's better way to success for you. I am Vitan Vora and I teach accountancy, statistics and social science. You can contact me on my cell number 919426310184. Please give a sub to my channel and also check out my other video playlist which you can see on the screen. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video.